Over the past 15 years, I've gone from a kid with an old laptop that could barely handle Word documents and 2D games to finally owning a setup that I used to only dare call a dream build. And what's funny is, every device I've owned, from the oldest to the newest, represents a different version of me at that time. My growth isn't measured by age, it's measured by how many times I've upgraded my PC. Back in 2011, my parents gave me my very first laptop. That laptop was beast mode. It was high-end. It was straight up god tier in my eyes. Inside was an i3-2330M, a humble little warrior doing its absolute best. Half-life ran at around 80 to 100 FPS. And for younger me, 100 FPS might as well have been modern-day 360 Hz. It felt so smooth that I literally turned to my friend and said, "Bro, this game is running fast as lightning." And he just went, dude, I think your laptop's about to explode. Left 4 Dead ran at like 30 to 50 FPS, but honestly, I didn't care. That was more than enough for me to dive into the zombie apocalypse, shoot everything in sight, sprint for my life, and scream like an excited little kid. That was all I needed, but of course, time eventually came for the poor laptop. The 2.2 GHz CPU started wheezing. The iGPU was tired of life. Newer games came out, and my laptop basically looked at them like, "Dude, please, I'm tired." And that's when I, like every gamer ever, entered the eternal loop. It's upgrade time. To buy a new PC, I started picking up every side job I could find. Waiting tables, working at restaurants, shifts at a cafe, selling random stuff. Basically anything that could throw a few dollars into my PC fund. Every month I got my paycheck, and every month it immediately vanished into my savings account. After 6 months of grinding like an NPC in a sandbox game, I finally saved up $700. And for me back then, $700 felt like the kind of fortune you'd see in a Hollywood movie, where the main character survives a snowstorm, climbs a mountain, and still has to convince their parents to let them keep the money. And eventually I chose the legendary Dell Optiplex 9020 SFF. You know how Americans always say, work smarter, not harder? Yeah, younger me was more like, make PC stronger, work harder. The Optiplex 9020 wasn't a monster by any means. 4 GB of RAM, pretty much the definition of an office PC. Later on, I upgraded the RAM to 16 GB and was surprised to see that this tiny little office box could still run Valorant at around 80 FPS and Minecraft close to 100 FPS. The Intel HD Graphics 4600 wasn't exactly a fighter, but it was loyal and reliable. That Optiplex stayed with me for years, until my life needed something a bit more flexible. When I stepped into the media industry, all my old habits had to change. Suddenly I was editing videos at cafes, writing content in offices, and retouching photos right on shooting locations. The Optiplex, loyal as it was, could only sit in one spot like it wanted to say, "Bro, I'm literally a brick, I can't help you." So I bought a Lenovo IdeaPad L340. Specs: i5 9300HF, 8 GB RAM, GTX 1050 3 GB. For the first time in my life, I actually felt mobile. I could bring it anywhere. Sit in Starbucks editing videos like a real content creator, game at home, or chase deadlines at a cafe at 10 p.m. It wasn't powerful, but it was incredibly usable. You know, the classic American phrase, "It gets the job done." Valorant ran at over 100 FPS. Minecraft, well, that was like 20 to 30 frames per second because the CPU insisted on running at 800 megahertz. No matter what I did. Plugged in, still 800 megahertz. Begging it to work, 800 megahertz. Threatening it? Yup, 800 megahertz. To this day, I still don't know what its problem was. Maybe the laptop was trying to save the planet by reducing global power consumption. But despite its quirks, the IdeaPad L340 was where I created my very first videos uploaded to the internet. Those early videos became the foundation of my entire content creation journey. But about 5 years later, things started to change. I needed something more stable, not just in performance, but for the direction my life was heading. That was also when I started developing a real passion for making videos and posting them online. I actually had a YouTube channel before it, but unfortunately it got deleted. If it were still around, you'd probably see a ton of old videos of me popping up on your screen. And honestly, my semi-gaming laptop just couldn't keep up anymore. Short videos were fine, but every time I tried editing something longer, it completely tapped out. Overheating, lagging, crashing, it simply wasn't built for the heavy lifting I was throwing at it. So I made a big decision. I spent $1,200 on a full PC setup, along with a Dell U2419H monitor. That monitor does have a small bit of backlight bleed in the corner, but I've gotten used to it. It's basically part of the family now. The build was i5-13500, 32GB DDR4 RAM, ARS TX 3060, 12GB. And yeah, a lot of people wondered why I bought a CPU with integrated graphics even though I was planning to use a dedicated GPU. The reason is simple. Back then, I didn't have enough money to finish the whole build at once. So I bought everything except the GPU first, used the iGPU temporarily, and after about 3 months of saving, I finally bought the RTX 3060. That PC carried me through a big part of my content creation journey. I used it for editing long videos, for Photoshop, and it actually handled all of that pretty well. Rendering anything over 20 minutes was still slow, but manageable. And of course, I gamed on it too. Black Myth Wukong ran at around 60 frames per second on medium settings. Totally playable. The Witcher 3 hit around 90 FPS, which is great for a story-heavy game like that. Newer titles ran surprisingly well too, around 100 FPS on high settings throughout my sessions. But now, my younger brother has grown up and needed a PC for studying and entertainment. So I decided to pass that whole setup down to him, and that's when I built my new PC. After years of working and saving up around $2,200, I decided to take the biggest leap of my life, building a PC completely my way. Ryzen 7 7800 X3D B650 Aorus Elite AX 64GB DDR5 RTX 5060 Ti 16GB. I got pretty lucky. I built this system in early 2025, back when hardware prices were still pretty reasonable. If I had to build the same rig today, I'd probably need to sell a few extra things, just to make up the difference. I also picked up a new monitor, the U2424H, to use as my main display. The old one got moved to secondary duty, and honestly, the whole setup feels way more complete now. And the best part is, I no longer have to pray for games to run. I play exactly the way I want. Smooth, stable, fully under control. More importantly, this PC is now strong enough to handle my creative work, editing videos, producing long-form content, and bringing to life the ideas I used to hesitate on because I was scared my older machines couldn't keep up. In Cinebench R23, the CPU scored 17,294 points in multi-core and 1,727 points in single-core. Really solid numbers. In Black Myth Wukong, at very high graphics settings, the game stays at around 68 FPS. That's more than enough to enjoy every flashy combat sequence and smooth animation, especially during big battles in those massive cinematic environments. In Minecraft, with render distance set to 32 chunks, FPS hovers around 400. And when I switch to the Bliss shader pack, the whole world becomes incredibly beautiful. Realistic lighting, shimmering water, and an environment that looks straight up magical. As for The Witcher 3 at Ultra Plus settings, FPS sits around 43. Not super smooth if you're on a high refresh rate monitor. To get a better experience, it's best to turn off hairworks or lower the shadow settings. You'll gain extra FPS while keeping most of the visuals intact. And that's the entire 15-year journey of my gaming setups. I actually made a similar video about a month ago, and right now it's almost at 100,000 views, which is insane. So if you enjoyed this one, make sure to drop a like to help this video reach even more people. Comment down below what kind of setups you want me to build next, or any video ideas you'd love to see on the channel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Thank you so much for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. Seriously, thank you.